What's up? Welcome back to another technical session here with the Cobras. We do this daily, during the weeks. So be sure to tune in. You get the latest updates right here on the Discord in real time. And we're just gonna start it off in, the trade analysis, since we're going over, our TA right now. Pretty much this is what we had starting out the day, so let's see if there's a timestamp on this. Not really, but 1 hour chart, we're about right here, right? So what I'm noting right here is the triple top on the RSI. We have the left shoulder, first peak, second, the head. We got up to 65 on the RSI. We actually hit our, descending resistance. And then we have the third kind of touch on the right shoulder come in right here. We see that we weren't making a higher high. We actually didn't make, the higher high to this area. We wicked the highs, were rejected. And note how, the left shoulder, right, which relates straight up from the bottom indicator, so straight up would be right here, the doji area, is still higher than this right shoulder on the RSI. So that held us down, and then pretty much same chart, really just a slow decline over, the last 4 hours, 3 hours. I'm just taking out the supports one by one. Didn't really get a retest of this trend line on the hourly. But what we do see is, the 40, the last low that came in on the 40 RSI. That last low on the 40 RSI was just like the support. This is like really holding the support. And let me just turn the music down a little bit. But this is, this is the vibe for Cobras, man. This playlist be snapping. So that's where we at right now. We're gonna go check live where we're at, but the 40 RSI is at play on the 1 hour. You can see how this low, or the price action came in, is, not equal, right? The lows aren't equal. This is a higher low, so let's see. Note the difference. This is the 30-minute time frame. And we still, had that kind of third shoulder coming right at the 60 RSI before we came in. Look at how we weren't able to make, a higher high to this point. These were still higher highs with candle bodies. So the structure, switched from making higher high, higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low, higher high. We got the kind of the change in structure right here. Right here, this bearish candle, how we engulfed it. When we try to make a higher high again, when we came up to make it, we just ended up making a lower low, right? Then we started, this is when you have two patterns at play, right? Because you have, we made, a higher low to this point, but we also, we couldn't, make a higher high to this area. So then that's when you start pinching, right? And then the pinch just ended up, we ended up making a lower low. So now we're fresh again. Notice how the 40 RSI is holding us as resistance. Whenever we get through the 40 RSI, it's kind of a big deal, because now the bulls have to show strength to get back above it, as everything is just like support and resistance. Notice how we still didn't get that test, the retest here, but we did come to engulf this wick. We came to kind of get below this wick. Now we have to think this is only on the 30-minute time frame. We're about to go out to a larger time frame, but this is just an immediate analysis, right? Notice how the 15-minute bullish divergence comes in with a nice, this 15-minute is actually lower than this low, right? So technically, it's not a divergence, but you see once, we hit that oversold area. We couldn't go oversold yet, so now we're testing. Our side's coming back up quickly, and it hasn't provided a big pump. How far can this RSI go? Maybe looking to hold around the 50 as resistance. If we're looking at a smaller chart pattern for right now, don't really like that. I don't like it, but it's there, right? We have 3 touches on this one, pretty steep trend line. And then we have pretty much, let's see what else we could find. It's not the cleanest, but we have 3 touches. So remember, we always want 3 touches on our trend line. 1 touch at the wick, 1 touch on this wick, and then this last wick, right? And this is just showing us, liquidities that are there. But with everything, what we could do is, we measure the trend and the reversal. So let's say from this last body, this last low we've created right to the top. Out of this, momentum that the bulls had to go to the upside, we've legitimately touched that 618. When you get the 618, sometimes you have a reaction, as we're experiencing right here. You could also, confirm that reaction with the divergence. Look at how many times we've tested oversold. This next time we test oversold, it won't be pretty, right? If we're able to test oversold again, hold at the 50, and then have a full, leg down, able to test here, these lows by the 20 will be a nice dip on price action, right? The dip will have some strength. But that's just because my kind of longer outlook is still a little bearish for now. But also to note, if we break this trend line, we'll see some upside liquidity, maybe test this area as a resistance, right? And if we're looking at, so we just monitored, the last low, from this last low to the pump. What's from us, we have all these tools at our, arsenal. Let's measure from the top to this bottom, because this is a bearish impulse that's been carrying out, right? Here we had some consolidation, didn't know what it wanted to do. It broke out downside. Right now we're just testing that 236 level. A real nice rejection would be, just like we were saying, this 382 level. Maybe we come up here to test this, horizontal resistance one time, along with the retest of the wedge, and then come down again. That's all up to it. Let's just keep going down on these time frames before we look at our larger time frame. Just using this one on the lower time frame because it's more short. Like, this is the last low, so to say, we created 600 day. And then note, look at the RSI, nice double bottom, oversold, and then a nice shoot and run. We could also see that the last time the RSI, this is the last high in the RSI that I'm monitoring right here at 52. So this high was right here above, our horizontal resistance, which was around 38,800. And now you see, if we were to use a ray, we could see that we could be coming up to a resistance area. So let's even make it further back, see if we have any other touches. RSI is resetting fast, but now I'd like to take a second and just go to like our monthly. We got a monthly closing, right? So we have 29 days left in this month. And yeah, you could ignore the hammer for right now. But look at where we closed that last month at, right? This was the last low we created in January before we had 2 months of kind of bull side pressure after we got through this wick. This month, it actually closed at that low. I can't highlight it, but you guys can see where the low closed at. Closed right here, right? Which was 37.6. So right here is where it closed at. And now, what are we doing? That wick from the upside came in, and now we're still sitting below, the closes of that January monthly. So January monthly closes at 38.4, and we could even, let's put a line for that. I feel like that's a pretty important line. That would be the January close and open. And no, February's open. So notice how like the candle open on the bullish candle is, at the bottom. The close for the bearish candle is at the bottom as well. January close, February open. Now let's get off this monthly chart. That's pretty much all we can see on the monthly. I'm not really seeing much. What I do kind of see is like a smiley face, because I love Bitcoin so much. I just see like, it looks like a smiley face to me. Are we gonna hold like this wick area? The first dip kind of like came kind of harsh, and we haven't really tested below this area yet. This could be liquidity that wants to be induced, but I do love Bitcoin, so let's go down to the weekly. Let's look at the monthly RSI. I didn't look at the RSI real quick. So from January's low, it's not a divergence, right? Because the RSI also made a lower low. But look at how high, the RSI when we bottomed out in the first dip down to 30K. Remember, we came down and wicked 28K, on that first time we came down. Notice how the RSI is above the 60. Remember, like when RSI is above the 60, just like how when the RSI is, below the 40, now it's using the 60 as support. When that 60 was used as support, even getting a little bit oversold had, massive effects for Bitcoin, right? Only a little bit oversold on the monthly, but that month was, a hell of a candle. It was about a 54% candle. Now we're below the 60 RSI, and we should probably use a different chart because this chart's so young to measure this. But for now, we'll just go into the weekly. And this is, Bybit, because they probably just started their crypto exchange. This is the weekly. So weekly, we're still in this weekly zone, right? We had our weekly support at the bottom of this last low, and that's exactly what's been keeping us up. Let me see if I'll clean this up for you. So notice how the January close, right? The January monthly and February close. Also these weeks, those symmetry those candle symmetries were right there, right? Even closes, and that's why the next month we had that engulfing bullish presence. Because when you have that much consolidation, it could only go one or two ways. Like even though it was moving, right? It had its wick up to 45K, which is only $3,000 from 48K, right? So it had, it was still moving. We've been in a range for almost 4 months. Now we've had a breakout to the upside, and really this is, a symmetrical triangle. If we're looking at, we got 1, 2, 3 touches, and then we have our support. So is this like a breakout, fake out? You could even use, all these trend lines are interconnected, like everything in life, right? Everything intersects. So this is, our support, like, and when we know if this is ascending trend line support, this is how we find our short entries. When we flip this ascending triangle support, because this could, easily be ascending triangle. If we were to draw on it across like this, maybe connect it down to the wick in this body open, this close open right here. And now we see this ascending triangle playing out. We also have a wick down here, so it could be alternatively drawn like this to see a support. And that's where I'm kind of looking for our buy area, which would be around 36K. That's on a weekly perspective. And as soon as you could, have these different weekly perspectives at play, like let's say we hold this support, now, the weekly symmetrical, now that, that's a fake out breakout, let's just add that line in, make our little resistance a little bit bigger. Now we have, a symmetrical triangle that we could be planning on the weekly. But we have to note that we're in a weekly bearish flag that I'm looking at. So I'm not really going to worry about resistance right now. If we go down to the daily, as we kind of start wrapping it up. Lots of low time frame things right here, lots of small wedges, because this is, been like stair-stepping volatility, but focus on the candle closes and their open, especially on, the daily. Now that we've walked this down, we see that this is like a weekly support that we've been playing on, this intersecting trend line. We see that we came below it one day, right? Let me fix up the RSI so we can see it, pinch it up. We see that on the RSI, we've still been consolidating, right? So no lower lows, all higher lows on the top side, and all I'm sorry, getting a little confused. All higher lows and then all lower highs on the top side, right? So that shit even gets me confused sometimes. and you gotta, just always stay in your zone. Like, look at how we came up this one day, big candle down, that low on the RSI. We still haven't taken out on the RSI over here. Look at where it's saying this close is still above. And then we have this low that just came in, which was a bullish divergence, right? Because if we drag this line across, the question is, has it played out already? Are we gonna, come down for that third touch? We're intersecting with that SMA. Let's see which one it is. I think it's 14. I don't really use that, but for right now, I'm gonna leave it on the chart. So we see that one, this bullish divergence. We see this low is, this is a higher low, and then on the price action, we see that the higher low, that we're making lower lows. So we had a nice, a nice day of bullishness yesterday, but now it's just, doji territory. Indecision in the market today, right? Big upside tested a lot. And our downside test actually held, the open of these days last week. So that's what held us as support. Let's go down to the 4-hour. So here we start to, see some of the bullish side of, what's going on. We extended this. I'm just curious. This wedge isn't, really valid anymore. held for a little bounce, but then it was pretty much over with. So I'm gonna delete this one and kind of show you the new wedge I'm looking at as we wrap it up. So we've held support from this zone that we just kind of came in contact with again. This will not be good for, look at how this was that daily close we were just looking at. Look how we just, tested that daily close. This is on the 4-hour chart. This zone is big. Look at how it held support here. Lots of indecision. Escape the zone, back in the zone, escape the zone. This 8,442 area, we have a 4-hour close coming in, is going to be, a support resistance test. Seeing which side it stays on is, the key. 4 hours, about the 50 RSI, so it does have room to come down again. That's what I wasn't kind of liking about this pump, right? I wasn't really liking that on this pump. We've shot up so far and so fast that we have, we have more pressure now to fall down, because if the RSI can't hold inside oversold again, we can see, how much strength we had on the last time we dropped inside oversold. So we might be able to put in, a leg like this one that came in. And this was only from the 50 RSI, right? We're not above this. We're like on this point on the RSI, like the price action is up here. We're now above it from where we're at now. We put in another just slow, dirty, nasty like wicks and just drop through the floor. We're at weekly support. That's something we have to know. And I'm sorry, I'm kind of on a rant today, and I kind of feel like I don't have enough time, because I wanted to point out, this is like the time where your altcoins will die, right? Like ETH to Bitcoin is still relatively up, even though the markets are down. I wanted to look at some of the coins that are down, like DOT from its all-time high, which is probably almost 70%. They'll go lower. maybe just one more dip, right? But let's just look at this weekly, kind of like this wedge that we have, right? And the pattern's getting really, really strong, because, we have all candle touches like this. So this is a strong, strong trend that bulls are trying to break now, because it has so much time under it. It has so much value. So the more candle touches, the longer the trend, the stronger the move will be. Let's make this wedge black, because you don't know what's going to happen. But this would be a falling wedge, so it really induce bullish momentum. And then we see now we see the lows where we could get, our last little drop. Use that one. So that's what I'm saying, this 37.5, this 3600 area, 36,500 area to 3,700 is where the bulls would have to make a big stand to me. Just go down to the 2-hour. We see the 2-hour hit the 60 RSI on the head, right? This is no games. This is what we do, right? Pinpointed the major areas on the RSI chart that I'm looking for. Now, we didn't have a divergence on it, but we just made a lower low. We did have the wicks that came, so it tried to, escape from this wedge formation, but this wedge is, just couldn't break, bro. Just couldn't break. And, I would have thought maybe it could break, but, the analysis has been right. this RSI on this pump was just resetting too fast. It hit 60 and it couldn't clear the 60, bro. We have a 2-hour close coming in, and it's also, you know, right on that monthly close. So we're fighting this monthly close coming in about 23 minutes. That green line. 3-hour close in the, let's just check the hourly real quick one more time. And you can see on this wedge, like on the wedge we had earlier, we already fell from the tighter wedge, which was like this or something. We'll look at it again in a second, but you can see how we rejected the area we were looking at earlier. Let's see if we still have it. So we were saying, you know, we might reject around this area or something like that. And if we looked, that was, you know, we had the bullish retracement of the fib. And if we just look the 618, right? We bounced up the 618. If we looked at this one, retesting this fallen wedge, RSI's at the 60 on the 5-minute. Slight bearish divergence right here, as you know. On the RSI's, it's above this area, but on the price action, it's not. I still didn't get the retest of the wedge like I was, you know, kind of asking for. It would be right at the 618 retracement area. If we do get that next pump in this, you know, next 5 or 10 minutes and we put in a double top, that will be, you know, a short entry. If we put in the shoulder here and it can pass, that'll be our entry. But yeah, watch that candle close come in. But I'd like to open up the floor, see if there's any questions.
Where would you see that retracement going back up to on Bitcoin? Sorry, I couldn't. I'm just. Was it a rough 39 or was it? Is it at the 38,994? Can't really see.
Okay,
Thank you.
We're looking at like the Bitcoin retracement on the hourly. You can see that the top was like here, right? The bottom from the impulse. Move it up a little bit to this wick. So off this like pump right here, we retraced to the 0.50 and been rejected from it. So I would say that the most we probably come up on Bitcoin would be like 38,800. That would give you a little bit of room above the 618. And the most, you know, opportunity to kind of stay in the trade. As we see, you know, these wicks were a rejection, so that's the area we want to hold, kind of that zone area. But yeah, we're good, bro. This is just a bounce off the 618. If we look at it one more time, because you have to draw your fibs from different, you know, sides, different angles, different highs, different lows, because this one was a 618, right? But if we measure the trend from this low, right, since some people probably measured it from here, it was actually still about a 618, but wasn't, you know, right on the money. So you have to know which lows are which lows you're targeting and which trend is really picking up, because just know your market structure, right? Higher low, higher high, lower high, lower low, higher low. Well, we just wicked it, so this could just go whoof, right? It already got tested. Pretty much even top to this downside candle wick. Mitigation of the market, kind of 50% of this retracement, right? At the downside, look, this candle probably mitigated this, right? When we hit the 618, we kind of mitigated this big bullish candle. So we're saying we can't carry on, right? But now we have, you know, the fallen wedge and we have this rising wedge that are really going to make our decisions for us. Just wait on some closes, see where this 4-hour closes. This is, you know, the monthly open right here, January's close, February's open. So big line, this green one. Look how we're just waiting by it, up and down, up and down. Go down to the lower time frame real quick. 15 approaching the 50 RSI like expected. Rejection on one candle, but we did engulf this big bearish candle, right? The bulls messed it up enough strength over an hour 15 to get above that shit. But still didn't get over the monthly open. So yeah, that's about it. For that kind of question. Let's just see where the 600-day moving average is. Ooh, we way below it now. We're gonna come test it again, or just capitulate, let it come down a little bit, and then fly back up to it. All right. Well, that pretty much wraps it up. There's no any more questions. 10,060 members. Let's go.
That was an awesome analysis. Thank you for that.
10,060. Appreciate you, Chapo.